And welcome everyone to today's running of Lost Ruins. Been a while. Had to take some breaks here and there, but last we recall, the party was getting ready to go and speak to the butcher about Lord Hawthorne and how best to approach him. So as you guys have kind of winded down, still in the early afternoon. Although for some reason try this. For some reason the clock. There we go. Now the clock's turning. So it's still early afternoon. Guys are back. I believe that one of you was trying to go and get some repairs done. Isn't that correct, Sinwig?
Sinwig was selling pelts and repairing a shield. That's my understanding.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can go ahead and get your shield repaired. It's not that crazy. You know, you spend 5 copper.
I think
Or did we
I
already?
think we did that
Yeah.
at the end of the session.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that
That was
we.
the last.
I was gonna say because we already divvied up the coin for the pelts
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
One new thing that you guys will notice, the party viewer is kind of gone, but if you hover over someone else's token, you get a level of how harmed or unharmed
Yeah, that's really cool.
they are. And it goes in various stages, and it will slowly turn more red the more injured you are. Even within varying shades of like very hurt, it'll still turn darker before you move to the next level.
Is that just the color of their name in the box shading?
If you hover over someone else or even hover over yourself, you see how it says unharmed. That's green.
Oh, I'm just
That's
zoomed
right
out.
Yep.
That was a problem. Okay, yep, nope, I see.
That'll change.
I thought I was putting up their names.
That'll change. So yeah, you guys are free to go and approach the butcher, or
Now might be as good a time as any.
Yeah. I'm guessing probably like Sinwig or Thalia should maybe do the talking.
Sure.
We all know Heinrich should not, although he may try at some point during the conversation.
yeah, you guys know. I've been around town long enough to kind of know, like, he's obviously busy campaigning for his brother. So you kind of go and find the campaign headquarters, and maybe you check the stockyards first, and he's not there. And you approach the campaign headquarters, and it's fairly quiet. It's the middle of the day, right around lunchtime. Um, so yeah, you enter the campaign headquarters, and you see a couple other people working, a few other commoners.
What were the schematics again that Hawthorne gave over for?
You have no idea.
Oh, I thought they had discussed it.
It was a loose interpretation, nothing
Okay.
like specific.
But it sounds like it's a method for someone to get in somewhere that is considered impossible to get into,
Okay.
but we don't know the location
I
where
wasn't
they're
sure
trying
if
to
you had
access.
assumed that it was is it Doncaster? Oh, to the southeast. That's like the dwarven stronghold capital.
Could be
I don't remember.
Solaris.
It's
It
an
could be
option.
a few things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, overall, you're
Sorry.
just not sure.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm just trying to
All right,
Charlie together
Aussies.
some notes.
Yeah, so you guys are there ready to interact with commoners you see
Here.
before you.
Sorry, there's a village dog barking in the background. If I can hear Ozzy.
Classic campaign tactics.
All right, so I'll approach one of the people working there and inquire if they know if the butcher is in and if we might have a meeting with him, speak with him.
Yeah, just one moment. And they kind of scurry off to a back room and politely knock on the door and hear, boom. And they kind of enter and kind of gingerly close the door behind them, and you don't really necessarily hear anything as it's kind of in the back of the area. And they come back out and say, yes, he will see you. I'm sorry, it's been a busy time. Please, this way.
Thank you.
And he leads you guys back to the back room. You open the door and you see the butcher with stacks and stacks of flyers and a few ledgers, and he's got his head bowed over. Yes, come in.
Filing through the door and shut the door behind us.
Hanson Wake slightly ducks to not hit the top of the doorway.
Habit at this point, I'm sure.
Very much.
Oh, and you see he kind of it's you lot. What can I do you for?
Oh. We hope that we find you well. We are hoping that you might provide us with a little bit more information. Again, we had a very interesting night at the location that you provided us with previously.
Interesting. How's that?
Interesting. We managed to hide ourselves well enough, as far as we can tell. There was definitely a meeting there, but it was really only between two people. One, we didn't know who they were. The other was revealed to be a Lord Hawthorne.
And at the mention of that name, he kind of elderly chap.
Remind me, Sean, I think he was a little bit younger, wasn't he?
Yeah, this was clearly a very much younger,
Okay.
still wet behind the ears.
No, he was quite young and had an attitude.
Would have been his whelp.
Ah, Hawthorne's son. As you may have well become aware of, it is Lord Hawthorne Sr. who is running against my brother for this mayoral seat.
Oh.
It's the primary represents the farmer seat on the council. So first, it's quite rare that he's running in the first place. I say farmer. What I really mean is greedy fucking landowners.
Okay.
How do you own land? It's just like there.
Well, the ownership and transfers of properties in the land upon which they reside is a time-honored tradition. I don't have time to explain it. Needless to say, he owns the vast majority of the farmland around here and is always trying to get more.
Declan, to sum it up, I think blood and coin is my understanding.
Oh, more robbery. Okay.
Gotta,
So, do you think he's running against your brother because he sees your brother as a threat?
oh, he wants to keep the status quo going. He does.
And your brother right now is putting that in jeopardy.
Well, the way I see it, if he becomes mayor, he puts his whelp on the council. The other council members tend to favor his vote in the first place. He essentially get whatever he wants.
So it appears that Lord Hawthorne Jr. handed over an undisclosed item to this undisclosed party. We weren't able to see or discern what it was from our observations. So we were hoping to investigate further and wanted to do a little bit of information gathering beforehand. And since you are well established and know the people in this town, we wanted to know what you might have to say about the Lord and his son, and perhaps how we can be in touch discreetly, secretly.
Well, it's no secret where they live at. Biggest farm manor right outside of town. As far as the junior Lord Hawthorne, how do I put it? He is, well, he's a pretentious bastard, is what he is. Born and raised, silver spoon in his mouth. Never a hard day's work. Everything handed to him on a fucking silver platter. Good luck with that one. What was it? You say he traded something. Did he get something in return?
Yes, it definitely seemed like he was basically providing whatever it was against his will.
Letters were exchanged.
It was
Okay,
some
so
sort of
Blackmail.
documents, letters that this other figure was using to, yes, blackmail him.
You know, I haven't kept eyes on his son much. The Lord, the actual Lord, has been going around trying to buy up more farmsteads. But we're not sure where he's getting the capital from. Yes, he's wealthy, but a lot of these farmsteads have been in their respective families' hands for a long time. Never been for sale. He's managed to purchase a few of them.
And has this all been happening relatively recently, or Lord Hawthorne Sr.'s been building his power like this for quite a long time, actually, in preparation for
Oh, I'd say
mayoral race?
roughly the last 7-8 years. Yeah,
Okay.
but now that you mention some of this other stuff, it does sound a little dodgy.
What of the senior? Is he honorable? Does he seem like Could be a smimey underhanded.
He is a politician through and through.
Fair enough.
Heinrich will spit.
So he probably wouldn't value his son if he did something to interfere with his campaign.
So, sorry, I missed that last part. I was distracted for half a second.
No worries. So if his son brought some kind of controversy to his campaign, do you think he'd pay out to avoid such a scandal? Do you think? I guess I'm getting around it. I'm thinking about possibly kidnapping somebody and or revealing secrets if they
Whoa,
don't get
whoa.
paid.
That's a little extreme. I mean, I think his son embarrassing him is always interesting things to happen and go on. But I do things lawfully around here. Yeah.
Oh, these are all just hypotheticals, you know.
Giving information is all right. Like I said, it show you exactly on the map where the manor house is, the farmsteads. No issues. And I can have more people be looking into these transactions a little more closely. No one ever looks at the workers, the ones who actually handle day-to-days. Nigh invisible sometimes they are.
Right. Then you might want to keep an eye out on Lord Hawthorne Sr.'s. I presume it was his main servant. He was there as well with Lord Hawthorne Jr.
Oh, I forgot about that. That puts a kibosh on what I was thinking.
That would most likely be Orphan.
And what do you know about Orvin?
Orphan is basically the high servant of the house, as was his father before him, and his father before him, etc., etc.
Do you think then that if he's the high servant and he accompanied Lord Hawthorne Jr. on this errand, that Lord Hawthorne Sr. might be aware?
I mean, anything's possible. I mean,
Yeah.
Orphan has always tended to latch on to the younger Hawthorne. Perhaps by his father's wishes, perhaps not. Who can say? The Orphan himself comes from a long line. But if you go back far enough, his family used to hold a position similar to what the Hawthorns hold now.
So perhaps he has his own motives.
But somewhere, at some point in time, going back 4, 5, 6, don't really know anymore.
So it's definitely been a while.
Something happened. And the Veil Shards and the Hawthorns have been intertwined ever since.
Is that Orvin's given name?
Yeah.
Family name?
Yes.
Vale.
Orvin
Shards.
Veil Shard. I have a journal entry that I share with you guys. This.
2 fancy glasses of booze
Is
and a decanter.
Yep.
Dwarven.
Now, if that's Orvin, looks like he definitely likes to also live the good life. So,
Mike, that's pretty Derek.
That's a really weird statement, but okay.
would Pretty and Derek not be?
I
Put
think it's
the
pretty
same.
weird to.
And this is the young Lord Hawthorne.
That's the portrait from the main hall, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do we have a guesstimation on his age?
He looks like he's 14.
I was gonna say he
Not
looked-
legal.
I told you he is wet behind the ears. He's older than he looks, but he's still very young.
I figured Orvin would have been an old man, but yeah, this is way cooler.
Yeah, I thought Orvin would be
Yeah.
too.
Um,
Junior looks like this campaign's Joffrey.
I was thinking if Matt Damon had brothers like the Baldwins, he would be the youngest Damon.
that checks out. That checks out. Yep, that checks out.
Mike Damon.
Not to be confused with my Damon.
He goes by Michael, clearly.
yes. Well, no, Lord Hawthorne,
Yeah, okay.
young master.
So yeah, so you in closing, the butchers. I mean, I don't know how receptive he'll be.
Well, we're also considering our approach to forewarning, Butcher. We don't know what item was exchanged, but it did seem to have quite a bit of value to the mysterious figure. We couldn't tell anything about this figure, no identifying anything. Don't even know male, female, dwarf, human, anything like that. But he was looking for a schematic of something. So just, we don't know where, what for, the purpose. I assume it's not a good purpose.
The party, weren't our eyes that were watching the situation able to view like the gilding on their cloaks or anything like that? I thought we got a brief description on that.
Lord Hawthorne was wearing a gold cloak. We got
Not
that.
Lord Hawthorne, but the hooded figures. I thought there was some mention of what the cloaks looked like.
Well, if I didn't write it down, apparently I either missed it or didn't think it was an important detail enough. I know I tried to observe, but I don't think my rolls were very good.
I don't think we got them for the other party. We just got them for Lord Hawthorne.
Because they disappeared really. Well, they left first to the south, but I couldn't peek around, I think, because Lord Hawthorne, they stayed in that area a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
So then when they left is when I peeked around the corner. I think it was when he was leaving. I was able to get the details about him, but we had his name already. So I don't think we got anything about the other side.
No,
Other than
and
they're
they
generally
were,
humanoid.
yeah, and they were pretty, shrouded in their cloak, and their face was covered.
Okay.
And, real identifying marks about them. Like I said, you couldn't tell if they were man, woman. Their voice was pretty, neutral as far as any of that was concerned.
I feel like at this point, it might be prudent to possibly discuss to Butcher where they came from, where they left to, and what we heard Hawthorne say about the schematics.
Well, I think your
That's
character
not
as
true,
Heinrich
John.
could say maybe that.
Yeah, I mean, if no one tries to shut Heinrich up partway through,
Well,
Heinrich
Heinrich
would
would also,
explain,
say
yeah,
something.
what basically what was said in those session notes about how blah 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 blah. Hooded figure appears, hands over schematics, and that what was reported to Heinrich, because I think his rolls were shit, asked why they would want the schematic since it was impossible to get in. The hooded figure explained in confidence that every place has a weakness, and that the two companions leave to the south. Because I feel like,
Well,
I mean,
I
the
mean,
butcher seems fairly trustworthy, at least Heinrich.
where we had your meeting is I know it's it's a slightly off the beaten path, but everyone knows it's there. To head anywhere, whether they were roundabout back here to Alverton or places elsewhere. If nobody followed them to see exactly where they was heading in, well, the schematics, I'm gonna have my people look into it. As I said, nobody watches the servants. Got people in the records office. They can look and see if anything's gone missing that might fit that bill. It might take a while.
Do you think it could have been something from Lord Hawthorne's private collection as well? Although I imagine with his status, he'd have access to things in the records office.
Well, it really depends on what it is. It's possible, but I think not likely. If you said that they was returning things of young Hawthorne's, why would they go to the trouble of robbing his estate and not taking the thing they wanted from it? So I doubt
I
it
don't know
was.
much about politics, but I do know it's good to know who's feeding your enemy's pockets.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't think that. Well, you call it a schematic came from the Hawthorne estate. If they had already had some of Hawthorne's things.
You do make a good point.
But the access to a Lord's son, who has access to his father, who has access to council records. Yeah, you might be onto something there.
Yeah, you could see if he or a servant sent in his stead, has fairly recently requested access to something or somewhere.
No, so all my people look into it.
They have any military ties?
My people?
The Hawthorns.
Oh, as far as like the Legion goes, no.
Okay.
Or does Junior have any vices, leads, people we could maybe talk to or shake down for something that Hawthorne Jr. may have loose lips about?
He's, I say he's young, naive.
Not too many of those yet.
But he's, he's been a bit of a recluse as of late. Not
Has he been holding himself up at the estate?
He has, as to my knowledge. It was
Maybe he was so nervous about his documents getting out and about.
Is a possibility. That you mention it, but I was never really concerned with him. His father, yes, but He's just a boy.
What about Orvin?
Any vices for him?
Besides fine drink. I don't know much about him other than that. He's, loyal to the Hawthorns. It's, like I said, the family's been intertwined for generations.
He did seem like a loyal servant during the exchange, if maybe a little impatient with Lord Hawthorne Jr.
I could see, think of it. If a lord's giving you charge over their son, out and about in a dangerous area such as that,
Yeah, no guards.
would you want your charge out there?
I suppose not. So
I
yeah,
feel like
is
that
it
answers your question.
By all means, head to the estate, speak with whoever you want to speak with. I don't know that they necessarily guarantee they'll even talk.
more than likely not?
Is there anything we could bring to possibly influence them?
As I said, Orvin has a penchant for the finer things in life. At least the finer things you can drink and get drunk on.
Does he usually stay within the estate himself? Does he have his own house? Does he frequent, a local tavern or place where we could meet him outside of the estate?
He's usually always with the Hawthorne, be it senior or junior.
All right, well, I think that should be enough to point us in a direction. But yes, be careful. We don't know what they're planning. And if that group that you're concerned about has been trying to get a hold of a schematic for something, then they finally have it. Something may be happening soon.
As I said, I have my people look into it. As I said, I'm still trying to run a campaign. We're getting down to the wire here.
Sean breaking the fourth wall, running a campaign.
When is the election again?
It's when it is, because I forgot the date that I said it was.
Whatever that was, yep. Well, and you have experience in this. I have no idea, but I imagine that that's going to be a very important date or the days leading up to it. So
Yeah, I think
be extra careful.
whatever date, I don't know if I actually gave a date or not.
I don't think you did, but it was like soon. But if it's like,
yeah, we'll say it's probably
almost
on
here.
like it's probably on like the frickin' in like a week.
Yeah.
On like like probably like Verdant Reach the 2nd. On one of the new moons.
Now, is that with like early voting and like mail-in votes?
Yep.
Do they
I
give
don't
people
apply
a day
here.
off to vote?
Well, the only absentee voting that we accept is through a message from a certified wizard.
And do you have to present some sort of identification?
Just yourself.
You drop your
Fair
pants,
enough.
turn around, and give them the old fruit bowl.
one person, one vote.
Seems fair. Well, any other lingering thoughts?
Narp.
And
No.
you kind of see the butcher's kind of gone back to his ledgers, and
I feel like we got our lead. We need to go to the estate regardless, and we need to bring some real fancy booze.
Well, I think we need to discuss our next moves. Butcher, thank you for your time when you are obviously very busy as well.
he's kind of saying, "Yeah, yes." He's just scribbling in his ledgers and consulting different various ledgers laid out in front of him.
All right, well, I will open the door and head on out.
All right, so Gethsemane leaves, the rest of the party just standing there with their jaws on the floor.
And
I just
Follow
wanted to
by-
let the butcher know I find his faith in the political process refreshing, and I just leave as well.
Is the lobby still just a couple of
Yep.
commoners?
Yeah, maybe there's a few more. As you know, you guys were in there for roughly about a half hour. And
Is this a bar too that he's above, or like a
no, it's like
tavern?
an empty warehouse, but that's been like not like a super big warehouse, but like a warehouse office where they've set up some desks and
Just
people
like how a
working
normal
there.
campaign.
Yeah, exactly.
works.
Like a campaign office in our world would work.
Sure.
Turns into a Halloween Express after the season's over.
Yeah.
I was just curious if I could speed run this and walk up to someone and be like, "Where can I find your Lagavulin shop?" type deal. But we can discuss that after.
Yeah.
These are all like student interns, Jason. They're not going to know fancy booze.
These are all Brian's.
He's like,
They just know Red Dog.
yeah, but you guys would,
Freaking Phillips
would,
and snorting grade D Coke under the desk.
but you guys would know, based off of what Alberton is, I mean, remember, this is
Well, it's a decent trade hub.
yeah, it's more than a decent trade hub. It's one of the biggest,
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
like it's not like a super like major city like one of the capital cities, but it is one of the biggest like crossroads in Lovitania.
It's St. Cloud.
Yeah, don't insult Alberton like that ever again.
I already said that to Mike. I said, "Yeah, I don't care what happens to these bum."
Yeah.
This is St. Cloud Azeroth.
So
Well,
We are one of the bigger crossroads in Minnesota for the farmland country.
So,
Just not fancy.
doing in and strategize. Do we want to go anywhere else? Sounds like we got our chores done last session, so really just thinking about the next steps.
yeah, because I really don't think we should just waltz in there without a plan, because he's got no reason to talk to some nobodies from anywhere. Unless, Thalia, you think you can, come up with a decent enough reason that you should meet with him, and us as your followers can accompany you.
Nothing has really come to mind yet.
Well, I wonder if they're religious. The Hawthorns. Maybe that's something we should find out.
I mean, if the man likes alcohol, just use that as some leverage. Say we have a fancy bottle and we're willing to talk about a little trade offer in private.
Well, and it sounds like if they're religious, their religion is luxury, collusion, and greed. Pippin might be able to cue you in on that.
Ooh. Do we have any poison that we have the only antidote for? Just a thought.
I
At
did
level
not
2.
go that route.
Mhm.
I didn't choose that class, but
No, but do we have any truth serum? Any zones of truth?
you know
Like
what gets the truth from people? If you start mailing toes. So you take someone important and then you just start mailing in toes, and then they're like, oh, I should probably take this message.
No. You just gotta get him drunk enough.
The toes do come off easier that way. You're right.
Does lyseric acid diethylamide exist
No.
in this world?
What are you planning?
Getting a little
don't wanna
MK Ultra
know.
up in here.
Yes. Yes. What was their whole brothel shenanigans they got into? Project, I don't remember what it was. They just fed a bunch of Johns LSD while they had sex with hookers. God, the U.S. government is weird. Anyways,
Well, we don't have the might of the U.S. government behind us, so we're not going to be able to do that.
my axe is stronger than the U.S. government currently.
Or the moral flexibility of a Hoover-led intelligence agency.
Yes.
A constitution of one is stronger.
Have you named your ex?
You gonna put me on blast like that, Erica?
Got him.
Black Betty.
I named mine the second I got mine, Jason. What's wrong with you? You sleep with it, it speaks to you. It's
So next
Your family
campaign,
ex?
or not next campaign, next session when I go. So what happened in the last 2 or 3 hours of the last session? Because all I could think about was naming my axe.
Well, that's what the notes are for, so kind of.
So back to Mike's question: are we going back to like a tavern? Do we want to like quietly discuss along the way?
Well, I don't. Things are just starting to get weird, so I think we need to start being a little bit careful. Be more aware of our surroundings.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
You
because we were
know,
originally sent here to investigate the butcher, and now we're basically working for him.
No, you
well,
were never sent here to investigate the butcher. You were sent here to get a lead from the butcher.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you.
So
really quick, Jason. I think you should name your axe my notes so that when you say I got to check my notes, you're just swinging your axe at somebody.
I'm just staring at it like just anime eyes sparkle in the pupils.
I like that one.
That's a very good one. Like, what was Ryan's greatsword? That one campaign.
Diplomacy.
Yes,
Yeah,
Diplomacy.
diplomacy. Use a little diplomacy.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we could like kind of like mumble to each other while walking on the street because we need to find an inn. We can't just walk up to this estate and be like, "Oh, hey, we're
We're just here to talk to you.
6
No.
random people. We'd love a tour
Well, I
of
mean,
your home."
if you are wandering around, if you're trying to find like a fine bottle of liquor, like that, with a quick search, you go to a district that is selling fine goods. You eventually come across a store that is selling what look to be, very fine bottles of booze.
Would
If
Mike,
it,
do you have anything for Thieves' Canty? where you could find out where there's like a blackmail, or not blackmail, black market sort of thing, where you could find like liquor that's really not easy to come by.
I don't think that exists in K5e.
Yeah, Alverton's pretty above board.
Okay.
If I may, the best way to get involved with this gentleman with his guard down would be if he thought he was inviting us in. I think alcohol is a good route, but we don't just show up being like, "Hey, I heard you like alcohol. Here's some good alcohol." We find out where he drinks and arrange to be there drinking good alcohol visibly, loudly when he arrives. And then he wants to join us rather than him, having to allow us to join. The other thought is we're useful people. We all have abilities. Maybe he needs something taken care of.
Let me speed run your idea. You want to start a band.
I don't know how you got there from here, but I'm listening.
It
The
has to be
hottest
jazz.
band and
If it's upscale booze, he likes. It's a jazz
troubadour
band.
troupe
Okay,
in
so
Alverton.
I am an okay fiddler. Does anyone else have any musical talent?
I think I'm proficient in lute. I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure I got an instrument.
And how's your performance skill?
Oh, not good.
Yeah.
This absolutely infuriates me, by the way. So I was trying to get them to start a band in my other campaign, but they won't.
Mike,
So,
my character was or is a Mormon cleric, and the item you wanted me to take
they sing about Jesus all the time. Anyway, let's
was the
find
devil's
this
Yep.
booze.
guitar.
Yeah, let's stay focused on this campaign if we could.
Yeah, I agree.
Just for context.
Yeah.
So,
So-
Teclin, that is a good idea, but it doesn't sound like Orvin leaves the estate much. So I don't know if we'd have to try to figure out more about him to see if there is another place that he frequents. The butcher might not have had that information.
Or maybe we can figure out where he gets his alcohol from, and then, well, convince them to. Maybe we ask if his connection knows of anyone looking for some good drinking, and say that we were sent by his connection.
Well, again, not a bad kind of like fallback. But if we show up out of nowhere as strangers being like, "Hey, we've got really fancy booze, we want you to drink with us," it might get his guard up. Whereas if he is choosing to join us because we've established a situation where he wants to join us, we kind of have the upper hand. He wants to
Yes.
impress us. He wants to be a little more braggy,
This is Sean bringing out the brewer's kit is actually meta.
Well, Nathan Tecklin actually had a pertinent thing that he said was that you guys are useful. You're
Yeah.
more useful than a commoner, obviously, by far. You know that. Actually, you know what? Why doesn't everyone give me either a wisdom or an intelligence check? Your choice.
Oh, they're the same. Once I remember how to do this in this format.
Really just make sure your sheet is locked and click on the shield.
Oh, okay. It is not locked. Thank you.
Yep.
Just trying to
Ah,
Right.
yeah.
You
Did
have
you
to
want
make
a
sure
saving throw or a check?
a check.
Okay.
You want blind?
Yep.
No advantage. There's my nat 20. I know it's
One
not,
would
but
only hope.
I'm
Okay.
manifesting it.
So, Teclin and Thalia, and Gersemi, the second they start talking about it, you were like, oh, yeah. Sinwig, Heinrich, and Pippin are like, huh? But Teclin, you had mentioned, like I said, that you are useful. And Thalia's like, well, yeah, they're running a campaign against the butcher's brother. Maybe you could use that avenue to get in, offering your services.
So you're saying go in for a side quest and throw it.
Well, Senior's more sociable, so he's leaving the estate. He said Orphan's always with one of the Hawthorns, so just go the Senior route and then get to Orphan. And maybe they appreciate, the toe mailing strategies a little bit more.
I mean, so yeah, between
The-
Teclin and Thalia, and like I said, in Gersemi, you kind of catch on. You know that's a route that you had kind of already mentioned to Teclin. You know that you're useful, but how do you really get to approach Orvin? Well, fine bottle of booze, and just approaching him directly, saying, "Hey, you heard that." The rumor is, and you hear it in the streets, and from the way that the butcher talks about it, that the butcher's campaign is doing it for his brother's going very well.
So we're looking for some work. Here's our incentive for you to hear us out.
Yeah, then it becomes like here's a bottle of wine to encourage, okay, so we can't get it the best way, which would be him coming to us. We give an explanation for why we're trying to get in that isn't what he thinks it is, so he lets us in. I think that's the way to go. Acquire a bottle of booze, present it to him, and then the first layer of the scam is that we're presenting him the bottle of booze to get a job, but we're actually getting our foot in the door.
Don't expose yourself, 007.
Yeah, like you think about it, you're basically you're using a really fine, rare bottle of booze. Be like, look, we can acquire things.
Yep.
We're
So
good at,
Yeah,
First
what skills do we want to upplay? We obviously don't want to give out our backgrounds, but we are also, although I don't really want him to use this as like I don't want to end up attacking the butcher or the campaign people. So maybe more like procuring stuff, like you said.
John, can I only use knowledge that Heinrich has
yes.
for this discussion?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly,
Well,
I feel that like now that we have like a general like gist, try to do it in character as much as possible.
That's fair. I mean, because with his intelligence and wisdom being down, is his memory fucked too?
That's really up to you.
I mean, I don't think so.
I mean,
He's
correct me
just
if I'm
not.
wrong, but like 8 is pretty, like it's slightly below average, but it's not, dumb.
Yeah.
yeah, like 10
So
IQ 10 IQ points per point in intelligence is a good rough estimate, and like 80 is still enough to go to like regular school and live your life regularly.
so what Heinrich would mention is like, we already discussed this. We did flee the military.
But I
So
don't
if
want
they
him to
have,
know that.
yeah, if they have any connections to Solaris, we need to try to avoid that.
However, that does give if they dig far enough to find that, then that gives a reason why we're hiding our identity.
And
So,
a good descriptor of who we all are, of
if
our
we
party makeup and races and such.
But I think our actual background generalized benefits us. We're not specifically deserting from someplace, but we are ex-military people with a shady past. The
And
exact
we could
kind of
just
people that a campaign might be interested in. Just maybe don't specify where the military we served in was.
pull the whole like oopsie daisy thing.
Don, do we know that like when groups do go AWOL, that it's posted fairly widely, like even across cities, like these independent cities, like?
No.
Okay.
You don't. You're not sure. It's not something that happens very often.
Okay.
I mean, you would know, like, definitely, like, within, the Dwarven held territories and the Dwarven strongholds, that stuff like that would most likely be posted. And if not, like, throughout the city for all the citizens to keep watch on, but for the local garrisons to keep an eye out for. And you would know now that, like, you're on the outer fringe of their influence.
I was gonna say also with my even my passive perception at a 9, which is not good, not positive, Heinrich would probably be able to observe that there's no real military prevalence here.
It just seemed more like city guards, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's city guards and lots of adventurers, people that are, well armed.
Not part of the coalition, but maybe we'll take advantage of if needed, sort of thing.
Like I said, if you zoom in on the map to Alverton, you see that line of forest that's underneath it. That sparse forest. That's kind of the dividing line. Everything to the south of there, that's the Dwarven area. Alverton is part of the city-state of Ekren.
So we don't necessarily need to hide ourselves and worry
no,
about
it's not uncommon to get the occasional, Dwarven patrol that makes a stop up in Alverton, either delivering messages or collecting more supplies or whatever. It's not uncommon.
Oh, we wouldn't be directly recognizable.
Yeah, but like I said, they don't have a official presence in Alverton.
Okay.
Yeah, I just didn't want to like lay it all out there and then Orvin, the Hawthorns, have a way to blackmail us by, hey, like, we can turn you in for this.
Which they still might.
Yes, but that means they have to find out. They have to have a reason to want to dig into our past more.
And worst case scenario, we massacre the family, burn them to the ground, and flee.
Yeah. Well, and
let's not just increase the reasons why we're wanted, please.
But honestly, sorry.
Best case scenario.
If like even if they do find out who we are and can blackmail us, well then that means they really want to keep us around until we can deal with the situation however we need to. I think the way to play it is to be vague about our background, but essentially honest. And if they really dig into it, then they find out the truth, and there's every reason we would be working for some shady family just on the fringes of the area we just deserted from.
Well, and if shit hits the fan, we've already got the trump card in our pocket. We know about that exchange.
Depending on how valuable that is,
We can't prove anything, so we don't have anything.
We don't know what it was.
Because we were there, so you just kill witnesses. But I'd probably not mention that.
But basically,
Yeah. No, I'm saying that's our like last resort.
yeah. But don't
go
reveal
down
too much,
swinging.
but use it in our favor if they find out.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we want to advertise our abilities to him, how are we getting said expensive bottle of wine?
Says
Or
we're
booze?
at a shop, Sean mentioned.
That you could find one very easily.
Okay.
You know, you've seen a few that sell fine bottles of liquor.
I think Heinrich will walk in, assuming we found said shop, if that's what we're doing.
Game.
And then Heinrich will ask for their finest bottle of liquor and or intoxicants and offer to pay. And this is without discussion to the group, under the assumption that the group will help reimburse him.
So the shopkeep kind of looks you up and down and pulls out. Make a perception check.
Say, I'm giving you all an out to not reimburse me based off of assumption.
I was also going to say probably the least savvy guy walked in asking,
Mhm.
"Hey, give me your nicest stuff."
Yeah, but he dumb.
And you're not going to get ripped off.
Confident.
Him dumb.
Yeah,
Wonder-
you assume that they handed you a decent bottle of booze.
I would like to ask for a second opinion.
Who would be our sommelier?
I
Mike.
Oh, and I did establish that Teclin is a brandy drinker.
I was going to
okay.
suggest brandy as well, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, Techland, if you
Last
want, you
year.
can step forward.
Yeah. Although I don't have any particular skill in that. I don't know what skill it would be.
I just had him roll perception.
Yeah. So do you want me to roll perception for my double
Yeah.
or my second opinion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I'm assuming maybe
Assuming-
even medicine might be a decent one. Yeah. So Teclin, you see the bottle that has been pulled out, and you just kind of scoff. And
Mhm.
like, it is not a good bottle by any means.
Yeah. This. I mean, I'll take it. We might get desperate, but I think I may need to talk to this gentleman. Although I'm terrible
Can
at
I
talking.
use a mild intimidation check?
You want to attempt to intimidate a local shopkeeper.
Well, so I'm doing this based off of my feat, where I can use intimidation for persuasion. And I'm trying to.
No, your feat. It's not a feat. Your feature is that you can use intimidation with I believe with
For
your
a persuasion check.
Yeah, in case it's still intimidation. You're still attempting to intimidate. I believe which feature was that? That was the.
I gotta find it here. God, I love seeing Orc Fever still on my thing. It's not Dwarven Toughness. It's
Is it one of the fighter things?
I don't remember where it comes up, but I know I can use my persuasion modifier. Or not persuasion, my intimidation on a persuasion check was my understanding of it.
What's your character class?
Berserker.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, we could always just send someone more qualified.
I don't know if have you leveled up that far yet?
I have. I've used it before.
Okay.
Hecklin,
No,
would
it's
you?
this. No, here's this. It's you have traveled far and seen much, and those around you can tell. You gain an expertise die on intimidation checks. In addition, you may always choose to use strength when rolling an intimidation or persuasion check.
Yes, so I can still do persuasion, but I use my strength modifier. Thank you for clarifying that, Sean.
That's called Mark of the Wilderness.
Yes. So it's still persuasion, but I basically roll in intimidation, which is the
Well,
same
it would
thing
be
based off of strength.
You roll
persuasion.
persuasion and change the modifier to strength.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like, if you're proficient in intimidation but not persuasion, you wouldn't get proficiency with it, essentially.
Right. Hecklin, would you mention anything at all to anyone in the party that it's fake?
Not fake. I just, I would look at it and be like, oh, that
Not
is
as
not,
of quality.
yeah, that is not what we need. Like, it's barely drinkable. Would probably get us laughed.
Sean, help me clarify this. So if I'm using strength for a persuasion check, does that not basically equate to an intimidation
No,
check?
it
But it
does
counts as
not.
persuasion.
No, it does not. Is not an. Either are you attempting to intimidate or are you attempting to persuade?
Well, I'd
You
prefer
do-
to persuade.
You do not have, as Nathan just said, you don't have proficiency in persuasion, but you can still roll the persuasion check. So none of your skills are tied to the stat that is initially on them. I can have you roll an acrobatics with wisdom if I felt like it. Is the thing. So when you click your persuasion roll,
So I get the modifier.
So you have persuasion, you have it clicked on strength. You also get an expertise die. And then you would roll it, and it would roll with your strength modifier, but not your proficiency bonus because you're not proficient in it.
And I'm not proficient in persuasion either.
What are you talking about? Yes, that's what we're talking about, that you're not proficient in persuasion.
Oh, are you not proficient in intimidation either?
He is proficient in intimidation.
Okay, yeah. So, if you're trying to intimidate someone, you roll an intimidation check using whatever skill he says, but you have a feature that says you can always choose to use strength for that. If you roll a persuasion check, if you want to persuade, you roll a persuasion check, and he can choose any ability score, but you have a feature that says no matter which one he chooses, you can always use strength. So it lets you add your strength modifier, but you only add proficiency modifier to the ones you're proficient in.
Yeah, so if I'm not proficient in persuasion, I add my strength modifier to it.
You add your you will roll it with strength, period, from now henceforth because of your Mark of the Wilderness feature. You can always choose to use strength to roll intimidation or persuasion.
I hear what you're saying.
That's
so it's
like if
you
open
it's already
your
built
feature.
in my character sheet.
Yeah, if you
so
open your
my
feature.
persuasion is already +3, and my intimidation is +5. So regardless, I always have the +3 to persuasion, no matter which I choose to roll with. Okay. Okay, that clears it up. I'm sorry for being a fuckhead.
Yeah. But whereas you can persuade with strength, being like, "Hey, I'm a big guy. You probably don't want to try and mess around with." Intimidation has different consequences. But I think,
well, especially if Techland has already also said, like, "Hey, come on, what is this
smell?" Are we in the shop pre-purchase while this is okay?
Yeah,
okay.
Like the shopkeeper's standing there, like, what you asked for, and you come in, Techland, you come in, and are like, "Yeah, no, we said your finest."
Yeah.
So my apologies for wasting 10 minutes of time explaining something that's already
go
built
ahead. No,
in the character sheet.
Go ahead and roll. Go ahead and roll your.
Yeah. So basically, what I wanted to do was do the persuasion with a little touch of strength into it, and be like,
"Could I assist?
Come on, guy."
No, you
in his persuasion.
I think you kind of already did a little bit. Like I said, he still gets it with an expertise die.
Yeah.
It's because of his feature. Like I said, if you open your Mark of the Wilderness feature, it says You have traveled far and seen much of those around. You can tell. You gain an expertise die on intimidate. Oh, it's just intimidation checks. Never mind.
Yeah,
But you can do
and
strength
I'm
with
not
persuasion.
trying to intimidate.
Yeah. So yeah, just roll your persuasion check and we'll see what happens.
Okay. Sorry, everybody, for wasting your time.
It's been a long time since we played. It probably won't be.
It's also
what?
kind of a wonky. Oh, I rolled that public. That's my bad.
Oof.
It was not good.
Yeah, he kind of chuckles. He's like, he kind of points at the bottle. He's like, you want it or not?
Not that one.
And he kind of looks over at Teclin. Well, right, so what exactly do you want?
Fine.
Make a perception
Brandy.
check. Make a perception check.
Yeah. Sure wish I could listen for Brandy.
Just hear the sound of it in the bottle.
Okay.
Like, I know that's sloshing around anywhere.
So with a 21 on your perception check, and your previous one being a 22, kind of are looking at maybe like the shelf behind him and kind of up, tucked back behind a few other bottles, in one of the upper corners. Bottle catches your eye.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very ornate. It's
How much for that one?
Which one?
I point up at it in the corner. You know, the good one over there.
And so he brings this bottle down.
Oh, that's not fancy. That's shite. You're paying for the brand.
And Jason gets permanent disadvantage on every roll from here on out.
What you're failing to account for is that when you have to age the wine for so long and use such expensive materials, the cost of the container becomes so insignificant that you can afford a bottle like this.
Nathan, why don't you roll me a history?
Yeah.
I know it's not your strong suit.
Yeah.
You want me to assist with my -1?
I mean, I am from like in the middle of nowhere and never got
Ooh,
out.
Baby.
Oh, but I know my brand.
Ooh.
Whoa.
You have advantage on your next history check. And
We found the alcoholic.
And you do indeed know your brandy. That this is probably not the rarest brandy, but you're digging through your memory and you recognize like the filigree and the gilding that's all over it as being a fine elven brandy.
Yeah. Do we have to give it away? Can I keep? Anyway, sorry. How much was it?
300.
Oof. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. It is quite good. Let me have a discussion with my group here.
What time do you guys close?
Oh yeah, I can't quite afford that. How much for these lockpicks over here?
Wait, so we all turn in and like whisper.
Yeah. How much gold do we have among us? I've got a third
no,
of that, and that'll clear me
I'll
out.
look at Teclin and be like,
The party has 552 gold.
Yeah.
I'll turn around and looking at Teclin and be like, he tried to fuck me. You want me to intimidate this bastard?
No, that's a bad idea. In hindsight, I almost said this before we came in, but what better way to apply for a job procuring stuff than with a high class stolen bottle of wine but he's seen my face, and he's seen his face, and he knows now. So I think we should buy it. I mean, I've got
Well, we've got to.
Hey, I can
Good
steal a
beef
lot of
among us.
bottles, not just the one that you want. You know, I'll steal a few, and he won't really remember that nice one. You know, maybe,
yeah.
possibly. And at the end of the day, if he does, it's just you two guys. So
Yeah, I say we buy it. I mean, it'll pretty much wipe me out if I contribute a third of the cost, but I can do that.
I can contribute some as well.
I gambled like all my money away. So
I
Yeah,
forgot about that, Mike.
I have money too.
And I've got 145, but this man here.
I think we lucked into being able to get what we needed here, and I think I don't want to risk screwing ourselves. So I think we should pay for it.
Right.
You are my sommelier.
And this is stuff that I would never have dreamed of even seeing, much less having the opportunity to try. So
No, but
I'm-
what if I talk to him and
no.
insinuate? Sorry, that's too big of a word for Heinrich.
yeah,
I mean,
What if I were to
basically,
talk to him and tell him,
out of
everybody
character.
needs to chip in. Everybody needs to chip in if they were chipping in equally, which I know, Pippin, you technically can't, so someone
I
would have
can't,
to
yeah.
loan you 25 gold. But it costs everyone in the party needs to chip in 50 gold.
Okay, I can
Yeah.
chip in 50 and
Can do
cover
that.
his 25.
So
I'll
Teclin,
chip in 50.
yeah, Teclin will chip in 75, and then Pippin, you got to chip in your 25.
Okay,
this
I'd
racist
prefer
motherfucker?
to steal and light the place on fire, but that's just me.
Save
would
that
have
all for the
too.
actual job if it comes to that.
Yeah, Mike, save it for the estate.
And then out of character, I'd say we've had 2 failed persuasion checks on, or wait, just 1, but we failed a persuasion check pretty badly already. I think it's.
Oh, I'm talking intimidation, sir.
Yeah, that's a bad
Let's
idea.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're already on the
listen-
run from one group.
And also, I would say listen to the player Nathan on that one.
Yeah,
But for those of you who haven't, go ahead and subtract that gold.
Yep, I have.
So Eric is
Uh-huh.
behind me going, the sun is rising. Or no, what is it? The Hulk? Or for the Hulk? Sun's going
getting
down,
real
big
low,
guy.
buddy.
Sun's getting real low, big.
So Thalia, it's going to be on
Fine.
your inventory sheet. There you go. Perfect. All right.
Yeah, just take me a little. My bad.
Yep. So now the party's down to 252 golds, 57 silver, and 202 copper. We're not broke. We got a lot of money. And then
We're not great either.
um
We're not going to drink this.
Yeah. Oh, I've also only got 3 supply right now. Gotta pay attention to that.
and now in
Bless you.
and then yep. In your inventory, Teclin, is a fine bottle of liquor.
Cool.
Next to my laudanum.
Next to your laudanum. Yes. Hey, wait till these guys find out about magical mesh. Oh, it's a thing. Just hasn't technically been invented in this world yet.
Now it is.
But in about 18 months, it will be.
Sean, Heinrich will turn back to the barkeep and ask for his cheapest whiskey.
Barkeep.
Declan rolls his eyes.
A liter.
You mean the merchant? This isn't
Yes.
this isn't a bar. This is like a,
Yeah.
spirits sales shop.
Like his cheapest dwarven whiskey.
It's
Or dwarven alcohol.
cheapest
mean,
dwarven
something
whiskey.
that'll-
Like he pulls up this just plain Jane glass bottle of brown liquid. Boom.
Jesus
much?
Christ.
How much? 1 silver.
Sold.
Or you can give me about 2 hours and a jug of water, and I can make you some.
Sold. I want some dwarven moonshine that might make you blind.
Yep. You said the cheapest.
That is true.
we use it to clean the iron fittings.
Now, one of the things I can do is
Can you
leach the
de-varnish ships
flavors.
with it?
Hold on. What's that, Nathan?
I can leach the flavors from things if I can touch them. I was thinking of possibly, like, if we needed to make the guy be like, this drink is terrible, I need to drink, I need something good. But man, if you want me to just like make that stuff drinkable, I could do that for you.
Drinkable. It's a liquid, ain't it?
And
Technically.
and Heinrich's a dwarf. He's
Yeah.
probably had just as bad, if not worse, before.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Heinrich's a hill dwarf. He's a country bumpkin dwarf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Techland's got this bottle of you can call it brandy.
That Heinrich isn't allowed to touch.
That I mean, should Techland be allowed to touch it? Because this is like one of the holy grails of the brandy world.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it was that cheap, honestly.
Heinrich's liver looks like.
I mean, 300 gold. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Yes.
That's
Still,
a year's worth of income
For
in this world.
Yeah, for a non-magical item. You know what? A potion, the second level potion of healing. What is usually like 100, 200, 250.
And let's be clear, that will fix your broken leg.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, like for a mundane, rare item, it's still mundane. It's just a bottle of brandy. 300 gold is a lot of money.
Should we have gotten magic whiskey? Magic booze?
Techland's like, I have some laudanum.
Yeah.
To steal from Tony Hinchcliffe, for your concerns about the liquor that I bought, Heinrich's liver looks like the Liver King ate Martin Luther King after he was beaten by Rodney King.
Oh, good Lord.
But yeah, so you now feel pretty confident that you have a really fine bottle of booze, because you do. Like I said, I might be something that you're not really that good in, Techland, but you still rolled a natural 20.
Nice.
Turns out he is.
Like I said, those of you who played with me long enough know that I trust in RNG Jesus. Especially when it comes to skill checks. Because you'll start rolling rocks on skill checks and combat comes around and it's like, why am I rolling no higher than a 2? Hey, it happens to me too. I was playing a game with a friend last night and I couldn't roll crap and he was rolling max on just about everything he was rolling against me. It happens. I felt like Erica for a minute.
Yeah, but see, it was just for a minute.
But yeah, so what do you guys want to do now?
Well, leave the shop, and I would say, okay, so what? We just walk up and try to apply for a job, or we should probably just try to see if we can gather more information about
before
maybe
we
their
get
campaign, or
before we get too far, I guarantee you, if this is the only shop with good booze in town, then our guy is a customer here. And we did just make a large purchase, probably the biggest sale he's made in a week or so. So he might be feeling talkative. I'm just not very good at getting people to talk. They don't like me for some reason.
Yeah,
It's
that
the
was weird.
horns.
I don't have horns. I mean,
As you kind
right
of,
That's the
now.
wrong
as
person.
he,
That's
I
me.
think Aztec and kind of like reaches up and like touches. I think I don't.
Yeah.
Not at least like
You got
this.
horns.
Although you can't shake the like feeling that his face isn't quite in the same like exact proportions that it was before he shifted into the thing.
It's one of those. Is it always just like slightly different?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like that oddness of like, one ear being a little bit lower, maybe this time it's the other way, but you can't quite remember, you're not quite sure.
Well, I'd say that there's probably a few of you who are, better suited at maybe trying to talk to him and glean some information.
I could take a crack at him.
Yeah,
I
well, you
just say,
got, like I said, yeah, I think between you, Sinwig, or even Thalia, depending on what your guys' skills look like.
I just say, we're toasting Hawthorne's inevitable victory in the upcoming elections. We're wondering if you knew of anywhere where like-minded individuals might patron and appreciate, the fine brandy that we just procured from you.
Well, any of the finer inns, a few wine halls, I mean, definitely not away from Riverside. There's some more rough and tumble crowd down that way.
And do you know anything by the Hawthorne estate?
The who's of what now?
Would that not be common knowledge where the Hawthorne estate is?
Well, yeah, but you would already know that the Hawthorne estate is not in town. It's out of town.
Right. So I'm inquiring if there's finer dining or drinking establishments outside of town towards the Hawthorne estate that would.
No, it's all farmland.
Okay. I don't know. Sometimes farmers get down,
Yeah.
So.
No, going outside of town, like if you look here, if you zoom in, and I'll zoom in on the map here, like all of like this hex and like all this fertile area here and here, that's all going to be like farm.
The Delta, yeah.
Yep. Remember the place that you guys met was over like here, outside of town, off of those little itty bitty ruins, like here, if I remember correctly. So, and that
Gotcha.
the Hawthorne estate is up there at the foothills.
I'd ask, I don't know how deep you want to get into high-end drinking culture here, Sean, but I'd ask if he makes any deliveries to the personal cabinets for the Hawthorns at any of these clubs or, higher end establishments. Again, we're just looking for, fellow Hawthorne supporters that could appreciate the fine vintage of this brandy.
I mean, it's not really something that happens a whole lot. I mean, this is an adventure town.
Cool.
A lot of people don't really care what they're drinking as long as it's wet and gets them drunk.
Makes sense. All right, well, I guess we'll just start looking for higher end places around town then.
So yeah, you very easily find that you could tell just by walking the streets that most of the town is pretty well to do. Basically, remember the photo that I showed you, the image. You could tell like the further you get towards like the center of town, the streets are better paved, the establishments maybe have a little bit more frescoes and finer columns out front and better, finer, intricate woodwork. And you have a choice of a few different inns and establishments that maybe aren't near as raucous as anything else that you might see down Riverside or by the bridge or anything like that.
Eklund, what do your great booze senses tell you? Can you smell the finest brandy?
Oh, I don't know much about how people out here in the world drink. I lucked out. I recognized this bottle of Elven brandy, but I don't know. I wouldn't normally know where to go about finding this kind of stuff.
Fair point.
As we're walking around town, Sean, are there also some flyers for like is there similar gatherings or things like that for political gatherings for the Hawthorne side?
Political gatherings for that? Yes.
Okay. So I would like point that out to the group and like, do we want to attend some of these or one of these and see if that's an in or a way to maybe approach, Orvin, and I don't know if he'll be at any of these, I guess, either, but like we still don't quite know how to approach him specifically unless we go to their estate. And I don't know if that's the wisest move.
I
don't
agree.
know.
We should go to like any political campaigns or meeting spots if he's that loyal to them.
Yeah, he might
Like,
be
do
with.
we see anything where there's a sign for a like late night campaign or meet and greet?
No, you don't.
Which everything was standard.
You don't see any signs. But if you were to ask around,
Yeah.
and depending on how and who you ask, it really gotta role play that out. You're
Well, they're
in
clearly
you're in a
playing
finer part
more
of, you're in a
towards
finer part of town at this point.
yeah. So they're more clearly playing because the butchers party is the farmer campaign.
The farmers are the Hawthorns because the farmers are the wealthy landowners. Is that correct, Sean?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think the butcher is more like the common folk,
Yeah.
the
The
working
mercantile.
class
Sure.
type. Yeah.
Yeah. You kind of get like think of the butcher as like a early stage in his career Jimmy Hoffa.
We're thinking too much in modern era, where
Yeah.
the farmer is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But why don't we? I think we're gonna really go ahead quick here and take a 10-minute break, and we will be back. And we're back. So you guys have managed to walk your way into a much fancier part of town. As you're walking, you see groups of people traveling in the same direction. A clump of 2 or 3 here, 4 or 5 there. They seem to be moving towards a big central square.
It's about almost 3 in the afternoon.
Actually, I would say it's probably a little bit later than that. Probably almost
Okay.
5.
Okay, so it's heading more towards the evening. I'd say maybe follow them, see what that's all about.
So as you guys make your way towards the central square, you see that there is this really ornate fountain. And in front of the fountain, a small, low stage has been erected. And there are 2 podiums on the stage.
Were you here for debate night?
Does everyone roll me a perception check, please?
What?
It's still daylight.
Still technically daylight, yes.
So I think that would apply then. This one, yeah.
Oof.
Right.
I don't like the oof. Because I'm the last roll.
Yeah.
It's bad rolls, guys, and you should feel bad. This is what that
Okay.
said.
So
I always feel bad in this campaign.
start with Teclin. Teclin, you have been sensory overloaded.
Oh,
There's
fun.
a lot more going on around you than you're used to.
Fair.
Anything that involves hearing for the next hour, you cannot use that sense and make a perception check. The cacophony of sound is just too much for you.
Jesus.
Heinrich, you are too focused on the minute details to see the big picture. You have disadvantage on your next perception check.
Oh, so it's gonna fail.
Multiple nat ones.
Big surprise.
Pippin, you are highly in tune with your senses and surroundings, granting you a higher form of awareness. For the next hour, you are under the effects of the see invisibility spell.
Oh, wow.
Oh fuck! So I'm ultra mega. That's
Which notably lets you see into the ethereal, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're seeing like all the floaty ethereal jellyfish and shit.
Yep.
You're wondering if you're high right now.
balls.
So Sinwig, Thalia, and Grisemi, you do start to see a few faces you recognize from the Butcher's campaign, and you see the Butcher and you see him standing with a man that you would assume is his brother, never actually having seen him yourself.
Oh shit.
Uh,
We should
Alright.
probably
Yeah, we
let
never
him
even
know what's
find him
going
out.
on.
And just at that moment, you see a tall, older gentleman, not you know, not portly isn't the right word, but he's got a dad bod. You can tell he eats well. Maybe drinks a little. And you see him also approach the stage, and you see both candidates get up on stage. As you're looking at the stage, I guess I really never named the butcher's brother, did I? Or did I? I did name him,
I
didn't
don't.
I?
uh,
I could have sworn I did.
It's buried somewhere.
It is buried somewhere.
Jeremy.
My notes.
I heard his name's Buried D.
Buried D.
Hank Hill.
Oh, isn't it Grimshaw Stonecleaver?
There we go.
Oh, that's less intimidating.
Yeah, so Grimshaw takes the stage, and then Lord Hawthorne takes the stage. So Lord Hawthorne is positioned on the what would be to you your perception the left of the stage, and Grimshaw is on the right of the stage. Is actually so he's on the left, depending on which viewpoint, but you get what I'm getting at here. And Pippin, you kind of looking around, and with your heightened awareness, you do see that Lord Hawthorne's son is in attendance, along with his servant.
oh,
Point that out to the rest of the group. Casually.
Let's go. Gladiator combat.
And so the crowd hushes down, and the two candidates engage in a debate that I will put as if anybody watched the most recent presidential debate, we'll just say it's kind of like that. Maybe Hawthorne's not as batshit crazy.
So the moderators rolled a natural 1, huh?
Yeah. There's no moderators, so it really it devolves into the debate that we all thought we were gonna get, and there's yelling and screaming and name calling and maybe some shoving, but there's an audience this time, and there's no microphones. There's nothing to me.
Cheers.
But you hear points basically like the points are Grimshaw's talking about the working people need to have their voices heard. They need to be well compensated and taken care of for their work, because if it wasn't for them and their work, the landowners, use the air finger quotes, farmers wouldn't have what they have. They wouldn't have anywhere to sell their goods. They wouldn't have anybody to work their fields. They would have nothing if it wasn't for the working class. And Hawthorne chimes back, well, but we provide you with the opportunity to earn that money in the first place, at much great expense to ourselves. We cannot be expected to bear the burden of your livelihoods. We already do, and so much more. Do you have any idea what it costs to run an estate? And this goes back and forth about the real cost of labor versus basically management versus labor, back and forth, and you see divisiveness in the crowd. You see a bunch of middle class and what we would consider to be middle class and lower middle class rallying around Grimshaw, and you see those dressed in finer attire rally around Hawthorne's side. And there's a very clear disparity that there are a lot more workers for Hawthorne than nobles and
Can
aristocrats for
I
Hawthorne.
try with intimidation a chant?
You want to intimidate the crowd into chanting.
Now that I think about
Just like I said, this is one of those, like, just because you're good at something doesn't mean that you need to try to roll with that all the time.
No,
I would prefer this. Hear me out real quick. I would personally prefer, say, this is what I want to do, and then I'll ask you what I want you to roll with. I think that's a better way to approach role playing in general versus like, well, I want to roll with this. Can I? No. All right, well then I'm not going to roll. Why don't you tell me what Heinrich wants to try to start a chant?
I can do you one better. So Heinrich had a thought of using intimidation to yell Hawthorne sucks, and then he proceeded to think about it, which is unique and new for him, where he went, probably not a good idea.
We're trying to work for that guy. Stop.
Yep. That was Heinrich's full thought process. So
now, among you,
starting up.
like I said, Thalia is dressed very elegantly. Texan's clothes may be slightly ragged, but still of a fine kind of quality from his time where he's from. Pippin, if I remember correctly, you're dressed pretty nice as well.
Yeah, I look semi-fly.
Um,
Fine clothes, I think.
Dapper.
Yeah, it's pretty fly for a white guy.
Pretty much. I was gonna say that, and then I backed
Uh-huh.
off. But
Uh-huh.
So you see there's tensions among the crowd, and the debate has ended, and people are beginning to disperse. What do you do?
Is there a spot close by that I could get to for some where I could cast a spell without getting noticed?
What spell?
Hex. Verbal and somatic.
There's still going to be an additional roll to be able to
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. And I don't think I want to risk it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a sleight of hand. Yeah, you can. There's enough. There's enough cacophony here to kind of get by with the verbal component, but
no, I think if I can't get like out of sight, but with a line of sight on the target, which would have been
it's
one of the
it's
guys.
pretty much a wide open square.
Something to do maybe from outside before we entered might have been a good idea. Just didn't think about it then.
Yeah.
Right.
But this might be a good opportunity for either for Thalia or anybody Pippin, to kind of approach the Hawthorne camp and maybe expound on some points of theirs that you air finger quotes agree with, to attempt to ingratiate yourself among their inner circle.
And I'll pull the bottle of brandy out, kind of like I'm getting ready to present it.
I'm a little too maggot up, and I'm starstruck, so I'm going to leave this to Thalia, because I think that rally really influenced some of my opinions that I'm going to take further into this campaign.
All right, Thalia, looks like you're up.
Sure. I don't know.
Think of it. I guess one of the best pieces of wisdom I can give to a new role player to start with. Think of it as though you're writing a scene in a book. Just narrate it from that perspective. Tell me, well, I feel Thalia would approach, the Hawthorns being looking of more noble bearing yourself and carrying yourself, and you would approach them. But how, and what would you choose to? What would Thalia say along those lines? Like, think of it from a narration standpoint versus like if that works for you. Otherwise, you can literally do it as a completely in character, like, I'm Hawthorne, you're Thalia, talk to me. Whichever way you feel more comfortable.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and walk up to. It doesn't matter which Hawthorne, or just like Lord Hawthorne or the sun. We'll be aiming for the sun, right?
Well, I think in this situation, approaching candidate Hawthorne Senior, is completely acceptable. This is a public forum, and you see he is surrounded by sycophants and hangers-on, and you're a new quantity that he knows nothing about.
Remember, you're playing a character.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is not you.
Yeah. Well, it's also this. It's also Sadie's playing Thalia, and Thalia is playing someone else. You're playing a character who's also now putting on airs and playing a character. The joys of roleplay.
Characterception.
And we got your back.
Yep. And Teklin's right there with you as your servant. And he's holding this fine bottle. So yeah, you approach Hawthorne Senior. What do you say?
Hello, Mr. Hawthorne. I was wondering if you had time to explain more on your campaign or your cause for voting for you, and I may be able to help.
Oh. Enchanté, mademoiselle. And he kind of makes a polite bow.
He's also French.
Not really, but
Yeah.
To get he has a certain je ne sais quoi.
See.
Well, if dwarves are Scottish, it only makes sense that elves are French.
But he's not an elf. He's a human.
Oh yeah,
he's a human.
Oh, yeah.
What's the dragonborn?
Odd. That's what a dragonborn is. Odd.
Czechoslovakian.
Play him. You know what? From now on, Steven, you have to voice him like Chekhov.
Oh no.
You make him from Russian Federation.
Wessels. Say Wessels.
He's from Mother Russia.
From
Great
indeed, my lady.
nation.
I do try to be fair to these people. And when he says people, you can hear the disdain dripping from his voice.
Ick.
I provide places of residence and good, honest work. And they want more. They always want more. A fine lady such as yourself must surely understand that those of us who have a better lot in life doesn't mean that we're not deserving of it.
I most certainly understand, for sure. Would you like to talk more about it? I'm with drinking what my elven brandy here.
And he kind of looks down and he looks over and, oh my. And he's like, Orvin, come here. Yes, my lord. And he kind of points down at Orvin's like, and you see Orvin's eyes just like light up and go about like just the size of saucers in his head. And Lord Hawthorne, I, madam, do not partake of such things. My body is but a temple. But Orvin here, on the other hand, is a penchant for the finer liqueurs. You may send your servant with Orvin. Have them get acquainted. I would love to speak with you more. Oh dear, what did you say your name was?
Out of character, are we actually giving them our names or side names?
I think it's
It's on you.
easiest. Yeah.
It's on you. Character decision.
I mean, how well would Thalia maybe be known outside of your homeland? Is that something that
Oh, no,
would
nobody knows who
well,
Thalia is. I mean, y'all barely know who Thalia is.
Yeah, okay. So
We are on the run, so just throwing that out there.
You can
I
call
probably
me Tez.
Tez?
Yeah, Tez.
T-E-Z. Tez. Perfect. Well, Lady Tez, shall we? And he extends an arm to you to go discuss the finer points of what it's like to make Alverton great again. MAGA.
Reach my arm out in acceptance.
Okay, so Lady Tez has distracted and taken aside Lord Hawthorne. Declan, you find yourself with one Orvin Veilshard.
I'll nod at him and kind of lift the bottle and give him a quizzical eyebrow raise.
And he looks at you and he goes, "Where did you find that?"
Well, the lady asked for something fancy and presentable, and well, me and the rest of the crew here, our job is to get what the lady wants done.
Tell me about it.
Oh,
Go for this. Go for that.
yeah.
Have you been
But
a high servant long?
oh, it's just about all I know.
Out of character for the rest of the party to know. That's a truthful statement from Declan.
all right. Would we know that?
So, like I said, in character, maybe not. Sometimes out of character knowledge can help influence further revelations when the time comes. That's the only reason I really wanted to make sure to point that out. Come. And if anybody else is hanging close by and you want to try to, you guys want to try to follow Declan and Orvin? Or does somebody,
I would.
or does somebody want to stay and also maybe kind of stay back and maybe keep an eye on Lady Tez and Lord Hawthorne?
Yeah, I think maybe kind
Well,
of splitting would
I
be
can
good.
stay back.
All right, so Senwig, you kind of want to like stay back and mingle. Like I said, it's I've chosen to kind of not address the elephant in the room as a dragonborn because I think that it's gonna be too difficult, because then it's like everywhere you go, it's like, oh my god, you know,
Right. I already kind of have a
it's gonna be
What the hell is even that?
yeah. I kind of have an idea of what I'd say if people start questioning what in the world I'm doing there.
Also, like, I feel like in a world like this, you get kind of used to, whatever the hell may walk in the door next.
yeah,
And
it might be
if you
it
just
might be something that they've never seen before, but we're kind of just gonna gloss over that for now.
Like,
I'm not saying
let's
I'm
not
going to
mess
ignore
with
it.
the
I'm
thing.
not going to ignore it. There's going to be a time and a place in this world where it's going to matter a whole hell of a lot. But for now,
There's
we're
gonna be
just
like,
kind of
let's not talk to the thing that can bench press my body weight.
yeah. So Sinwig kind of discreetly keeps an eye on Lady Tez and Lord Hawthorne. Declan, you have gone with Orvin. With maybe Pippin, are you following discreetly? Are you following openly? What's your plan?
I would have followed openly because I was the one who kind of brought him over to the area, and I'm dressed fine, so I would look to be like an attaché as well. But
So I think it was one of your compatriots.
No. Yes, most definitely.
Yes, come. So Pippin, you have been invited openly to joining. Back then, he goes, "You guys know my name. It's Olvin. What are yours?"
I
Mine
mean, sorry,
Mary.
go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, boss. Go ahead. I'm new. I'm still learning. He's in charge,
I'm Teclin.
Nice
and
to
I'm
meet you,
Mary.
Declan.
Ah,
And
it's a pleasure.
and you're Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between that or Chet Manley.
I mean, only if there's a bunch of martinis around.
There is fine brandy, so
Yeah. Um. Okay. Yes, come. And then what's Heinrich and Gersemi doing at this juncture? I know you had mentioned that maybe you wanted to go over and talk to and fill in the butcher and his brother, perhaps.
Well, it wasn't me who said that. I don't know. Was it you, Jason, when we saw him here?
Your mic is muted?
Hello?
There you are.
There you go.
Okay.
I remember
Yeah,
somebody
first
mentioned
time
going over there to fill him in. So
no, that was not Heinrich. He is absolutely like grinding his teeth down to a stone to hold his tongue and await whatever Gersemi and Sinwig has to say.
well, like I said, Cinemig's off, kind of trailing at a decent pace behind Lady Tez and Hawthorne.
Yeah, so Heinrich is just he wants to open up, but at this point knows better, and he's
Oh well, maybe
pretty
Gersemi,
much
knowing you the best, maybe he kind of like takes you off to the side, and maybe you guys do go to Grimshaw's side of the, in camp, the debate and the area where they are hanging out. Maybe she gets you over into that area.
I'll say that's up to Gersemi's decision.
Yeah, I think so, because I don't want to overwhelm what the work that the other two groups are trying to do. I'm definitely going to try to keep tabs on where they are roughly in the crowd. But yeah, we can kind of make our way over to Grimshaw's side. Try to not, draw too much attention to ourselves, since we're technically supposed to be part of the group that's supporting.
There's enough
over
there.
there,
I mean, there are hundreds of people.
Okay, so it's still very busy.
Here in the crowd. Like I said, Alberton is it's a very large town.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll kind of go over that way, and I suppose try to, make our greetings, but I'm sure that he's going to be very busy. I don't know that we have anything to really update him on yet.
I don't really think so. You kind of stuck to the plan, what you already knew you were going to be doing, and that's kind of where you're at now without anything new, but it's just good, positioning of where everyone is. So let's flash back to Teclin Mary. It's a good thing I don't have a big following, otherwise I see someone's estate suing my ass.
It's spelled like a chick's name.
Also, it's Meri.
Just Mary. Mary.
You got to hide your references through one more layer, like call him Happy.
Yeah. Well, no. Then Disney will sue my ass.
Yep.
They don't own the concept of happiness.
Not yet.
Have you been to the Magical Kingdom? Kind of too.
They're darn close.
Us having this conversation right now, Ari's putting us in hot water with Disney.
I mean, hey, if you're ever gonna make one of those kind of videos at home, make sure you play Disney music in the background, because if it ever gets leaked online, Disney's lawyers will have it taken down before you even knew it was out there.
Okay, I'll change my name to Bob Iger.
Anyway,
and that's why I have Mickey Mouse tattooed on my. Know what? Never mind.
Moving forward, yes, indeed. So we're back with Mary and Teclin with Orvern, and you guys were discussing the finer points of what it's like to be a high servant, or in Mary's case here, a high servant in training, I believe is kind of what the vibe I was catching.
Well, yeah, and I was pulling him over as kind of like, he's one of the guys who gets things done.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you've gotten to that point of the conversation, which is where we're picking, which is kind of where we're picking up, and maybe you get the vibe, like you saw from the people here to watch the debates, that maybe things aren't going the greatest for the Hawthorne campaign.
Yeah. And seems heated. I mean, politics off and on, but that was something else.
Oh, it is. Lord Hawthorne is an established quantity here in town. My family and his go back many generations. I think the people they just want something different, but they don't understand that different will bring their ruin.
Non-canonical. This sounds like make Alberton great again.
It is make Alberton great again. I've made no qualms about it. Sometimes pulling from current pop culture into
Mhm.
your game when something presents itself such as this. You just gotta run with it. It was
Right.
never my intention from the beginning to have this be what it is, but based off of where we sit time wise in the real world, I couldn't live with myself if I didn't do it.
That's why I had to say
Right.
non-canonical.
Um, so, but you do see he does produce from his coat. He pulls out 3 small brandy snifters. Very small
Hmm.
ones, but in scale.
Mhm.
And would you do the honors?
Yeah, and so I'll, you know, pull out a little knife and work the wax off the top of the bottle, pop it open, offer it to him to smell.
His eyes roll in the back of his head.
And take a discreet little sniff as I go to pour it. And then I'll pour out 3 of them, brace myself, and raise a glass.
To the real workers who get things done behind the servant to servant.
Mm-hmm. And to the perks that it brings.
Mm-hmm. And Pip and you / Mary, you also have been given a glass of this super fine brandy.
I toast to new opportunities.
Yep. And you guys drink this brandy. And it is absolutely delicious. Think of it maybe along the lines of a good Saint Remy.
Rebasier.
No, Saint Remy. Saint Remy XO. Really good French brandy.
Aged in the skull of an ant.
Yeah, And for Teklen, it's the best brandy you've ever had by far.
How does it taste like homesickness?
Yeah. And you see Orvin kind of swishing around, takes minor noseful sips. Because the great things in life usually do. How did you find yourself in the employ of Lady Tez?
Oh Lord. Let's see. I grew up in the service, and she was the one I was assigned to. To be fair, she keeps me out of trouble as much as I keep her comfortable and happy.
And you would remember, based off of the information that the butcher was able to give you, that Orvin's family have been a long hereditary line of master servants to the Hawthorns.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very much, you can see, strikes a chord with Orvin.
Yeah, and
Lifetime of service. Yet, we are also served. We know all their laundry,
Hmm.
all their quirks, ins and outs, likes, dislikes. Expected to know what they want before they want it. Now, my lord wants, well, more power. He already sits on a prestigious council seat, having only slightly less power than the seat he runs for. Think of the mayor of Alphaton being first among equals. Between you and me, I tried to talk him out of this foolish run. But he wouldn't have it. He said it had been his life's aspirations to lead the council, not just sit upon it. And what of your lady? What aspirations does she have?
Well, she's easy. We've been sent out, and she's to travel the world and learn about it. That's a wide remit with plenty of room for opportunity. So as long as she's happy and safe and comfortable, we've been able to go about our business. Now, there was a bit of a misunderstanding with our previous employers. So, as a group, we're kind of traveling and trying to make our way of it, hoping to make the right connections in a new area of town or a new area of the world, and work on kind of reestablishing ourselves.
Her family needs connections.
Well, everyone needs connections when you're someplace new.
Indeed. The Hawthorns are a very powerful, if I'm being honest, regional power. They don't hold much sway outside of Alberton. But, as you can see, and he gestures to the grandness of the city with which you're in, Alberton is no hovel. It could be beneficial for us to have a further conversation with your lady.
I think that'd be a good idea. I'm not the deal maker, but it sounds like our interests align, as at least our taste in brandy does.
Well, I will speak to my lord and see of setting up a more formal arrangement. Say 2 days out at our manor.
We'll be there.
Where are you staying here in town that I may send word?
I don't think we've set up yet, have we? We didn't do that before this session.
You do have a place that you guys have been staying, but
Okay.
it's been kind of like maybe more on like the riverside, cheaper, more rundown
Yeah.
section. So maybe you're thinking like, we've just recently arrived, yada yada yada.
Yeah. And
know.
actually, if you have any recommendations, we'd be glad to hear it. We didn't know the area well enough to find a good place yet.
Yeah. Well, it depends. Does your lady have any preferences?
For my lady, clean, quiet, and not too expensive. But for the rest of the group, there's some people who like to get into some trouble, if you will.
Well, if your lady, and I've personally never served a lady, but I was taught the best baths in town are at the Silver Chalice, which is, and he kind of looks around the courtyard, and he kind of points off to like the south corner, and you see the building that he points to, and it's just right there, right off the main court. It is a little on the spendier side. I understand being frugal while traveling, but tell them that you are there on the behest of the Hawthorns. Drop my name if you must, and they will see you are well received.
Well, thank you much. I think that would earn me quite a bit of favor with the lady if I recommend. I appreciate it.
Well, then I shall send word to the Silver Chalice. And he clinks glasses. If you guys finish your glasses, he retrieves the glasses, leaves you with your bottle.
Oh, nice. I will cork it.
Since it was never officially given as a gift to him, but you're offering to more like share, high servant to high servant.
Yeah. Well, and if we got what we needed from him, keep that bottle.
Yep.
In the finest servant tradition.
So we've kind of pan and shift back over to Lady Tez and Lord Hawthorne, and you come to the roughly end of their conversation. Lord Hawthorne looks at Lady Tez. It has been a wonderful evening. I look forward to perhaps seeing you again.
It was very lovely to see you as well. I do look forward to seeing you.
And just then you notice that his son is approaching. Gets his father's attention. Matters of state do require my attention, my dear. And you part, and just then you would see Declan and Mary and Sinwig kind of coming back in from out of the crowd to approach you. Maybe at this time, Gersemi and Heinrich, you've also been paying enough attention to know that Hawthorne and his entourage have kind of left and gone off a side street and are departing the area.
Yep, so we can rejoin them.
Yep.
I tell everyone that I gave the fake name of Mary. Just so we're all on the same page.
Yeah, I don't know why you did that. They don't know who we are.
Because Pippin can't help himself.
You say Barry.
It's
I mean,
it's a personality for it.
Also
And-
wine.
Did you say Barry?
I mean, as far as you guys know, Pippin's not even his name.
Yeah. Oh no, and that was 100% in character, not out of character.
who would make up the name Pippin von Gold? That is clearly an established name of distinction.
So I don't know if you want to like role play telling Thalia what's going on, or we're just gonna say that you.
I would, inform the group of the things that were talked about, and then mention are we still? Is there still other people around?
Yeah, I mean, like a basic crowd. It's starting to thin out.
Yeah, and then I would mention, the silver chalice over there.
We'll say it's been we'll say it's been roughly maybe 2 hours that this all took place over.
But we can, semi-privately chat and go over some stuff.
Yeah, maybe you find out there's a couple benches by the fountain, and the fountain does have running water. Which is kind of a newer thing in and of itself. Only if Dob were here, Dob would probably be really interested in that.
Yeah. But he mentioned the silver chalice over here is an appropriate price for a lady of your standing. Hopefully we'll get we're gonna name drop, and they'll give us a better treatment at the worst case, or maybe even a discount. But I think we should at least take a room. That way he can contact us there, and it keeps up the appearance. I'm a little afraid of the price.
Do you mention to her that they do have the best baths?
Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't understand. Like, water falls from the sky. What do you need, like, a place to do that in?
How does Thalia feel about this place having wonderful baths?
It'll be relaxing to be able to. I'm assuming it would just be me to take a bath by myself with no one around.
Yeah, you would know. Like I said, based off of where you and Teklan have come from, and you even of your the holy order that you're part of, which we still have to discuss out of character and off game. That cleanliness and this, you would have there would be some kind of attendant in the bath with you, like a serving girl, who's 10, 11 years old, to help bathe you and give you towels, but that'd be nothing out of the ordinary for you or your character to go through. Pretty common, especially in a high-end establishment like that. So
it'll just be nice to be able to relax.
I'll mention another option. Another option here isn't necessarily to get a room, although to stop Thalia from wanting a room at this point, I think you'd be hard pressed. But is to also just be stationed near or in the common area of an establishment like this. Now, granted, this is a high class establishment. I want to make no qualms about that. So I don't know how much loitering you're going to be able to get away with. I understand.
Well, Sean,
so
I'll ask, how much did Thalia actually describe to our opposite host?
Don't he's not your host.
Mark.
Yeah, he's a mark. First, yeah, exactly. The conversation that they would have had, I'm going to go out on a limb here and just assume, is more along the lines of her inflating his ego, saying, "Oh yeah, I absolutely agree. These peasants don't know how good they have it," and just kind of
But Thalia also played herself up. So is he privy to that it's a 6-person party? Or was there no mention to a few of us?
Well, if I think I get where you're going, it also would not be out of character for her to take a good room at this good place and then make all of her people take shittier rooms at a shittier hotel somewhere.
Also,
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's along the lines of what I'm building up.
Yeah, I think we should rent at least one room there because it establishes what we're trying to portray, and that's where he
I
knows
think, based off of like the stature that it's being portrayed, that like Teclin and Thalia would totally stay here. Everybody else would probably go back to the place that they were already staying down Riverside.
Yeah, that's my primary question that would bring to Thalia was like, did you say you have a full party of 6?
Well,
That is
I don't think
attending.
that I don't generally think that would be something that would come up in a conversation like that.
No, but I talked about a group with Orwin.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, with Orvin. Well,
Orvin.
which is to be expected. If a lady such as this is traveling, she would have a retinue with her.
I guess that's what Heinrich is asking is like, is the full party privy to our quote unquote hosts or our targets?
Speak with less eloquence and speak more plainly. I think in this moment, Jason, because it's a little convoluted trying to figure out what you're trying to exactly ask. Like, does the Hawthorne know that you're Heinrich and that's Gersemi? Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's what it is.
No, why
do the
she's,
Hawthorns know that there are 6 of us?
They know that there is a group because a lady would have a group.
Yes.
She's not. She wouldn't give out like, and this is so and so, and they do this, and this is so and so, and they do that. A lady would not be discussing her servants with a lord. Just that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean.
Yeah. My question was like, are they privy to how many of us are there?
I guess what I'm getting at is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there's 6 of you or 60. The lady has a retinue. You get what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that there's 6 of you.
Yeah, they're aware that there's a group, maybe not specific numbers. They wouldn't pick us out of a lineup, but they're aware of our existence.
That makes more sense. That's what I was asking is, do they know all of us, all of our presence?
No, I would say
they know she has a party, but they don't know specifically what the party
me and
is.
Thalia and Pippin have been pretty firmly introduced. And I think that's about it. Although who knows what kind of eyes they have.
Yeah, the people that have the charisma to do so, essentially.
No, Teclin, Nathan. That is also a.
Oh yeah, not Nathan.
A good assumption that you don't know how many eyes that they had on everything and what they may or may not know. This is a city in which Hawthorne does have a very modest amount of power to begin with.
That was the primary
seat.
point of my question is like, do we have potentially a small group of people who are unknown to them? And you've answered that.
And the answer is maybe.
As far as we know.
Yeah, as far as you know. Like obviously, Teclin and Thalia have been directly introduced to Lord Hawthorne. Pippin and Teclin have been directly introduced to Orvin. I'm sure people have seen Sinwig wandering about, but he wasn't really interacting with anybody. And Gersemi and Heinrich were interacting with each other. So
I'm not asking for specifics. I'm saying for someone who has a
I'm
level
covering.
8.
I'm covering all of that too. I'm covering all of that too for clarity, especially for the video recording of everything. So so basically, like the only known quantities are, well, if you space it out and look at the screen that we're on, Those on the right are known quantities, and those on the left are, as far as you know, unknown quantities.
Yeah.
But
So
are they known unknowns or unknown unknowns?
Yes.
we don't know
Yep.
until we delve into that.
Oh, so it's an unknown situation.
So based on our assumption,
Yeah, but you know them.
You're right.
Sadie-
It is a known unknown situation.
yeah. That's where I'm getting at, is like, were we identified? We don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
So
Not a clue.
In this life, there are nothing but possibilities.
yeah.
I mean, I would say
So-
that probably like the butcher and his group, maybe, you know, if Gersemi and Heinrich, if you wanted to have approached the butcher, maybe at some point during that 2-hour span, you were able to get up and maybe officially meet Grimshaw, and maybe Butcher like, oh yeah, you know, we've done some things, and
Yeah. So as far as we know from Sadie, there could be as few as 3 and as many as
well,
procession.
yeah, well, the likelihood that they're based off of the stature and standing that Thalia was presenting, there would be most likely a good sized retinue. And even
God
Orvin,
damn it, Mike.
and even Orvin would understand that based off of what Teclin had
Yeah.
said about
Yeah.
his lady. So it's for there to be, you know, the lady plus 5 retainers or the lady plus 10, 12, 13 retainers would not be uncommon at all for
Yeah.
a lady of the standing that she was presenting.
Yeah. It's indiscriminate.
Yep.
That's where I was going with that.
So I'm going to assume then that there'll be at least one room
Yeah.
at the Silver Chalice.
Have we had an opportunity to talk to Sadie?
Yeah, you guys have all gathered back up now.
Oh, one of the people who hasn't been seen clearly interacting with everybody else should go to the butcher and let them know what's going on. Because otherwise, it's going to look like we just completely flipped sides.
No, we have not thrown any checks to determine that. Granted, this is player, this is not character, but
Oh, you're just not going to know.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, is like, we cannot assume that by any means.
What? The butcher... what are you
Okay.
thinking we're assuming?
No, because none of us have like tried to stealth or like be secretive and come onto the complex and say like, hey, I'm hiding. I would like to be able to retain information and be a middleman to go back to the butcher. We have not done that. We've flubbed that.
Well, like again, like we've got people who may be known as part of our group or may not. We don't know yet, but I would say like send like maybe Heinrich over back to the butcher. Like we've been interacting with the butcher, so if they've been watching us that long already, they've seen that.
You gonna trust Heinrich with that?
Just semi, or it's just, you know, one of those two.
I mean,
Just to go-
earlier when we walked back, Heinrich and I, like we walked into Grimshaw's like side of things. Like, I think I did say that, you know, we would kind of walk over there and like, you know, kind of like not really introduced ourselves, but like kind of waved hi. But, you know, because they were surrounded and so busy with people, because we were just kind of over there like keeping Heinrich calm. But like we still like acknowledged the butcher and Grimshaw. Like we've talked to him, like he kind of knows what we're after right now.
Yeah.
I mean, as
no,
we
and the
haven't
last
given
thing
him
we
a
were
reason
talking,
to distrust us.
Yeah, the last thing we were saying with him was, hey, we're looking for an in with this guy to go try and get some more information. So it's not like he couldn't maybe piece it out himself. I'm just saying, like, it might be a good idea to send him a message. Hey, we found an in. It's going to look like we're working with him for a bit. Just to prevent any confusion.
Yeah, but we don't have to do that right now.
No.
We have 2 days. Like, we're still in the square. We are now on Lord Hawthorne and Orvin's radar. We probably don't want to just scurry off right now because they probably do have someone watching us. So
Yeah, I'm with Erica, and
yeah.
I would argue
Just
that
leave
it
it
does
out.
not make sense for us to make contact at this point because
Yeah.
we've not found any information. We've only found an inn,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Oh yeah.
Well,
But
I guess my
I
question,
think-
I guess the question that I want to ask here from my side of the screen and standpoint is then maybe this is thoughts that people had prior. Do the 6 of you even all meet up after your encounters, or do maybe Techland, do you send Pippin off to maybe like discreetly try to give the 3 of them a message to like, hey, maybe stay away for now. Let's all go back to our, inn down Riverside where we can discuss this while you and Thalia get a room.
I don't think us keeping half of our party like hidden from the people we're talking to is going to be sustainable for long enough to make it worthwhile. Because like if they are about to hire us to do stuff, the first thing they're going to do is like ask around about us, and there's a whole inn full of people who've seen us hanging around and talking, and a shopkeep who sold us some brandy. And
I agree with that, but I
Yeah.
think I should intervene because Sean, that was gonna be my next question too. Is do we all try to communicate that and try to stay within close proximity? So before we even get down that road, I think we should go into, again, based on DM, we should go into some roles of what do we want to do? Do we want someone to come back and relay that information to the second half of the party? Do we want to try to include that party as the emissary sort of thing?
I guess I'm a little confused by what you're attempting to get at. Like based off of what I was saying, I think what Nathan is saying is that there's no point in keeping that you guys aren't with them, because if anybody asks around, they're going to know that you guys are all together.
Yeah, like we may have like a
Right.
day, or we may have like the next couple of days while they're asking around to get y'all, like if y'all wanted to go someplace unobserved, maybe we can get away with it. But it's gonna get less and less likely, like really quick. So
I got too broad with that, I
Your
guess.
faceless servants, no one cares about anyone except for Lady Tez, so it doesn't matter.
That's a much better viewpoint of what I had.
yeah,
They're rich people, you're nothing. You're exactly what he was rallying against the whole speech. If you think that guy talks about anything other than himself all day, he doesn't care.
Yeah, we are interchangeable tools.
There's Pippin's argument against what I was saying. So yeah, I'm spin with Pippin.
All right, so what is the official plan as far
Question
as
for you, Sean, because we talked about the rest of us going back to the cheap hotel. Would a place like the Silver, whatever it was, have like servants' quarters, and are they like still really expensive? Is that pretty common? Like that's where we would stay?
they would have a servant's quarters. It still adds, depending on how many servants need to bed down, it would add on to
Yeah.
the price.
Okay.
I would argue that Sadie's party should go there.
Well, it's also as Nathan had pointed out, it's also not uncommon in a situation like this for the lady and her head servant to stay at a fancy establishment like this, and the rest of her
the rest
retinue
of us.
to stay somewhere
I laid
else.
groundwork for that in the conversation, saying she likes it clean and organized, and that some of the other people like to get rowdy. So it would make sense for y'all to be staying in the rough part of town while she stays in the fancy place.
Yep.
If
Nope,
you
I
want that
agree.
as an
Nice
option.
job.
Yeah.
No, I agree. wholeheartedly, and based off my character, I would agree with that.
Heinrich wouldn't want to stay in such a fancy place anyway.
He has no business and no reason to. The grog is cheaper in
True.
town than it is out of town in the estates.
All right. So is it safe to assume that Teclin and Thalia will be staying at the Silver Chalice, and everyone else will be going back to the place that they've already stayed? Some nameless, not run down place. It's not, nothing's crappy here in town.
Yeah.
You can tell the town
They're
has
at the
money.
Hilton, and we're at a Motel 8.
They're more like the Four Seasons.
Oh.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt when. Oh, who did we lose?
I would argue that
Last
Sinwig
Mike.
should follow through and stay with the 2 instead of do a 2-4.
I mean, as long as I get to stay at the place with running water.
Well, yeah, it's been established that Teclin that you're the high servant, the master
Yeah,
servant.
and then Mary is the high servant in training, so if anything, he probably should go.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
anything, Mary could also stay at the Silver Chalice if he prefers.
I would argue that we should do a 3-3 instead of a 2-4.
Don't
Yeah.
think in terms of D&D. I'm splitting the party. I will say in this scenario that's not a super concern.
I'm not thinking of D&D split the party. I'm thinking in general split the party. Sinwig is my trusted brother.
Yeah, so having him and Grisemi with you down Riverside, 3 people that you guys know grew up together, you trust. Makes sense.
I think that might also be like me being Thalia's kind of body servant. It like we can get away with me staying in the room and like kind of crashing at the door. If Sinwig stays, even to keep up appearances, we're probably going to have to get a second room. And again, I'm really concerned about the cost of this place.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. So if you go in and you name drop and whatnot, it's still 5 gold.
It's not as bad as I was thinking, but still.
So that's with name dropping and getting taken care of. That's the discounted rate is 5 gold for a night. Now, granted, that does include the bath and it includes, a fine meal.
Cool. I'll go ahead and mark that off. It would make sense for me to be the one carrying the money and paying.
So I think that's why, Jason, that sending you 4 down back to Riverside, having them is that Tekken can get away being her main servant, staying in the room with her without any sense of impropriety.
No, I agree. I was just thinking of having one additional. Like, you have your maidservant, then you have your guard with you.
Yeah,
that was my thought process.
We probably could pull that off if we needed to, but
the town seems fairly law and order. Despite being full of adventurers, the city guard has a strong presence.
Yeah, no, it's
especially
like
during an election time.
It's an estate and highly recognized and all that. So no, I get your point. Yep. That's fine.
So yeah, so Teclin and Thalia acquire a very nice room at the Silver Chalice, which actually has full indoor plumbing.
Oh, fancy.
Yes, it has.
Hey, look, there's a bowl in here you can drink out of.
Like the tub has hot water that it can be piped directly into it. In its own little separate room inside your suite.
All right, so Thalia's never coming out.
And then
Even Heinrich would be like, "That's a bidet. It washes your asshole."
And he would never come out.
Oh God, no. He would sit on the toilet for eternity.
Okay, so it's getting kind of late. Are we going to want to go ahead and part ways and just like try to meet up in the morning and decide what to do?
Well,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
at that point we
we're gonna have
already
to
parted
pivot.
ways.
I believe the inn, whether I've mentioned it in canon before or not, the inn with which you guys have been staying is the Oak and Lantern.
Oak and Lantern?
Yep, the Oak and Lantern.
Okay. Oak End.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a modest hotel and inn. Not the cheapest by any means, not the most expensive. Got pretty standard rates. So everyone heads back down for the evening. We lost Mike again. Discord sucks. And I do believe that we will call it there for the evening.